Hey everybody, my name is Maribel Christina and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my student Think Aloud. So I am a first grade teacher and it was kind of a little hard getting some of the students to think aloud, but it was a great experience. So the effects of watching students think aloud, before I even started this, I just thought, okay, what do I want to gain from this? So I was thinking that there's um, a few things that we gain from listening to our students think aloud. So we're able to hear what they're thinking, obviously, and we make meaning of what they are thinking. We can connect the reasons behind their thinking, and we can learn from them and understand their reading patterns a bit more. It kind of will guide our instruction, is the way I see it. So watching my students think aloud was a bit different, I think, than it would be in upper grades. There's a lot of guiding that I had to do. Obviously, I modeled it first, but since it was the first time that they'd see me think aloud like this, it was kind of hard for them to apply it. I only worked with 2 students. I decided to choose one that was at grade level, a little above grade level, and one that was below grade level. Uh, the one that was at grade level was able to think aloud a lot more. And afterwards, when I asked him questions about how he felt, he was able to talk more than my student who was below grade level. So these are the factors that I found when I did it with my 2 students. So we use what's called RazKids. That's our online text that we're using. So I had them choose a book that they wanted to read, and then when I modeled it, I chose a book. I did from the stuff that was sent for this module, like the reading protocol, the what they should be thinking aloud. I did that whole thing, predicting, making connections. So that I modeled it before. So with my at grade level student, um, he did not need me to guide him as much. He was able to tell me what he predicted. So as soon as he read the title, he said, "Oh, I think that it's going to be about." So he was able to tell me exactly what he thought it was going to be about. And then he was also able to stop and ask, as he noticed a lot of, like, visuals are very big with first grade and younger kids, and with everybody. But he was able to see, "Oh, I see a duck in the pond," because the book was about things that are in a pond, but it was in Spanish. "Oh, I see this. Oh, I wonder what else lives in the pond," or "I wonder how the fish swim in the pond." So he was asking, like, questions to himself, and it's funny because the way he would ask the questions is the way that I modeled the questions, the tone that I use when I ask a question. So like I said, he was able to visually say what he saw when he turned the page, and then when he finished it, he was able to say, "Oh, I really like this book because," and my favorite part was when it talked about that there were turtles in the pond. So he was able to connect what he saw, and not connect, make a personal connection, but just say his favorite part. He wasn't able to tell me why he liked it or make any type of connection that related to himself. And working with my below grade level, it was a little more difficult as he needed me to guide him. So he read the title, then he went to the first page, and then he started reading it. And it was more of me, I had to, like, ask him, like, "Oh, what is it that you are thinking in this page?" And he would just tell me what he saw. So, "Oh, I see." And it was this, I had them actually read the same book. "Oh, I see fish. Oh, I see frogs." But he seemed pretty unsure of what, maybe I think that he felt he had to tell me what he was thinking. So as he read out loud, he was just reading, and I noticed that when because they take a quiz afterwards, he really didn't comprehend what he read, and he only got 2 out of 5 correct. So thinking about what I saw and thinking about me as a teacher of readers, I know to begin with that there is a big difference between proficient readers and students who are not. And not just because it's online text or print material. To me, it was those two students were struggling the same way that they struggled with print text. So, as a teacher, I think I need to continue to model by thinking aloud as I read and posing questions that make me comprehend the text and questions that students can use when they are reading so they can see how to better comprehend text. Direct implications that I see is that I am not using online text as much as I feel like I need to be using it, and it's something school wide that we're working on implementing, especially since we're going one-on-one pretty soon. But I do notice that my students are very engaged when using digital online text, especially like the program that we use, Raz Kids. They really like to use that. I do have guided reading groups each day, and through this assignment, I can see that one way I can guide my guided reading instruction is implementing online text in my guided reading. And I can work with students to think aloud, practice it, asking questions, predicting, coming up with connections, but talking to their partners about this, communicating it with each other, telling them, "Oh, I think," and and then when interviewing them, last part I was going to say, when interviewing them to understand what they're thinking, it was hard to get them to talk to me, especially my lowest students. So something to work on is like communicating, like letting them know that when you're thinking aloud, it's what you think, not what you want the teacher to think. There's nothing right or wrong. It's what you're thinking. How can I differentiate and use technology? So one way is to continue to use Raz Kids, and when we get one-on-one, hopefully within a month, to make sure that I'm using those during our guided reading. And I think one thing that I want to do with it is Raz Kids has a new system where you can annotate, highlight, record yourself. So I want to, with my highest group at least, I want them to practice doing that on their own and recording themselves, thinking aloud and asking questions and going back and asking those questions on their own. With my lowest group, I want them to practice thinking aloud with their partner so they can get an idea that, okay, maybe your partner saw this picture and he thinks differently than you, and that's okay. And then coming up with questions on their own, so it's not just me always, oh, why did this happen, or what is a problem, like having them come up with their own text dependent questions so that when they are reading, they're coming up with their own thinking and it's not my thinking. And so these are my concluding thoughts. Reading is something powerful, and teaching students to be critical thinkers when reading can be a tough job at times. So I know I need to continue practice thinking aloud with my students when they're reading. They need to be practicing thinking aloud, whether it's telling me what they think, whether it's telling their partner, but letting them see that we each can think things differently. But also teaching them like the appropriate things to think aloud. Like we're not just gonna read and think aloud. Oh, I see, I see. It's not always about I see, but interpreting, connecting, predictions. But I know I do want to use Raz Kids as my online digital tool because it's something that they are familiar with, and I think it will help them. So these were my concluding thoughts, and I really enjoyed this assignment, and I learned a lot from my two students, and I'm continuing to practice it with other students. Thank you.